The night Michael Jackson died, Prince disappeared. Nobody knew where he went. Not until 2016, when they found Michael's glove in Prince's vault and the note that explained everything. Because what Prince did at 3 a.m. in an empty club wasn't just grief. It was a tribute to a rivalry that the world misunderstood, to a friendship nobody knew existed. June 25, 2009, 2:26 p.m. Pacific Time. The news broke. Michael Jackson, 50 years old, dead from cardiac arrest at his Los Angeles home. The king of pop, gone. The world stopped. News channels went wall to wall. Radio stations played nothing but Michael's music. Social media, still relatively new, crashed under the weight of collective grief. Celebrities posted tributes. Fans gathered outside the hospital, outside his house, in Times Square, unable to process what they were hearing. And Prince, at Paisley Park in Minnesota, turned off his phone. His assistant found him in Studio A, sitting at the piano, staring at the keys without playing. "Prince, I'm so sorry. I know you and Michael had history. Leave me alone." Prince's voice was flat, empty. "The media's calling. Everyone wants a statement, a tribute, something. Tell them I have nothing to say." The assistant hesitated. "Prince, people expect." "I don't care what people expect. Close the studio. Cancel everything for today. I need to be alone." For the rest of that day, Prince didn't speak to anyone, didn't answer calls, didn't release a statement. While the rest of the world mourned publicly, Prince mourned in silence. His staff worried. They'd worked with him long enough to know that silence from Prince meant something was wrong, deeply wrong. But they respected his wishes, left him alone, assumed he'd process it privately and move on. They had no idea what he was planning. The media had spent decades building a narrative. Prince versus Michael Jackson. Two titans, one throne, a rivalry for the ages. They compared everything: album sales, concert attendance, fashion, dance moves. Who was more talented? Who was more influential? Who deserved the title of greatest entertainer of their generation? The press loved it. Fans picked sides. Purple versus red leather. Minneapolis versus Gary, Indiana. Purple Rain versus Thriller. But the truth was more complicated. Prince and Michael had met in 1983, backstage at the American Music Awards. Two young black artists dominating an industry that hadn't made space for them. They'd talked for hours that night about music, about the pressure of fame, about what it meant to be exceptional in a world that wanted to put them in boxes. "You make it look easy," Michael had told him. "So do you," Prince replied. "That's the problem. They think because it looks easy, it is easy." They don't see the work. They'd stayed in touch sporadically over the years. Not close friends, their lives were too different. Their approaches to fame too opposite. Michael courted publicity. Prince avoided it. Michael was calculating. Prince was instinctive. But there was respect, deep respect. The kind that comes from recognizing greatness in someone else and not feeling threatened by it. In 1984, after Purple Rain exploded and Prince became a phenomenon, Michael sent him a gift, a sequined glove, not the famous one from the Billie Jean performance, but one from rehearsals, used, worn, real. The note that came with it said, "To Prince, who showed me the throne was big enough for both. Keep pushing boundaries. Keep being you, MJ." Prince had kept that glove. Never wore it publicly, never mentioned it in interviews. But he kept it in his vault at Paisley Park, preserved in a glass case like a museum artifact. Because it represented something the media would never understand. Two legends who respected each other more than they competed. At 11:47 p.m. on June 25th, Prince's car pulled up to First Avenue in downtown Minneapolis, the legendary club where he'd filmed Purple Rain, the place that had launched him into superstardom. It was closed, dark, the marquee blank. Prince sat in his car for 10 minutes, engine running, staring at the entrance. Then he got out. The night janitor, Marcus, was inside cleaning when he heard knocking. He approached the door cautiously, Nobody should be here at midnight. But when he looked through the glass and saw Prince standing there in jeans and a hoodie, he nearly dropped his mop. "Can you let me in? Just for a few hours. I need the stage." "The stage? Now? It's almost midnight." "I know what time it is." Marcus hesitated. This wasn't protocol. The club was closed. But this was Prince. And there was something in his eyes, something raw and broken, that made Marcus say yes. "Okay, but I have to stay here. Security policy." "That's fine. Just stay out of the main room, please." Prince walked through the empty club like a ghost, past the bar, past the dance floor where thousands had lost their minds to his music, to the stage where he'd performed more times than he could count. He climbed the steps, stood center stage, looked out at the empty room, and for the first time since hearing the news, he allowed himself to feel it. The grief, the loss, the end of an era. Michael was gone. His contemporary, his mirror, the only other person who truly understood what it meant to carry the weight of being a legend. Prince pulled something from his jacket pocket, a sequined glove, silver, worn at the fingertips. The glove Michael had given him 25 years ago. He'd gone to Paisley Park before coming here, opened the vault, removed the glass case, took the glove that he'd preserved for a quarter century. Now, standing on this stage at midnight, Prince put it on. His right hand, the glove fit perfectly, as if it had been waiting for this moment. Have you ever held something that belonged to someone you lost? Felt the weight of their absence in that object? That's what Prince felt. The glove was just fabric and sequins, but it carried Michael's presence, his energy, his ghost. Share this story if you've ever needed to honor someone privately, away from the world's expectations. Because what Prince did next wasn't for cameras or headlines. It was for a brother the world said was his enemy. At 3:07 a.m., Prince sat at the piano, still wearing the glove. The club was silent, except for the hum of refrigerators behind the bar and Marcus's distant footsteps as he cleaned upstairs. Prince started playing Purple Rain, the song that had defined his career. The song Michael had once told him was the most honest thing you've ever written. His voice filled the empty room. Raw, unpolished, nothing like the controlled performances he gave on stage. This was grief singing. This was one artist honoring another in the only language they both spoke fluently. When doves cry, the lyrics hit different tonight, like they'd been written for this moment, for this loss. Prince played for 2 hours. Purple Rain 3 times. Then, The Beautiful Ones. Then, When Doves Cry, songs Michael had loved, songs they'd talked about during those rare conversations when two titans could be vulnerable with each other. At 5 a.m., Prince stopped, stood up, looked at the glove on his hand one more time. He walked backstage, found a Polaroid camera the club used for staff photos, set it on a table with a timer, stood in front of it wearing the glove, one hand raised, looking directly at the camera. Click, the photo printed. Prince took it, wrote something on the back, and placed it on the dressing room table along with the glove. Then he wrote a note, short, direct, everything Prince wasn't good at saying out loud but could express on paper. To my brother who taught me that purple and gold can paint the same sky. Rest, MJ. He left both on the table, the glove, the photo, the note. A private tribute in an empty room where only Marcus would find them. Then Prince left, walked out of First Avenue at 5:23 a.m. as the sun started to rise, got in his car, drove back to Paisley Park. Nobody knew he'd been there except Marcus, who found the items hours later and, understanding their significance, called Prince's assistant. He left something here, something important. What should I do with it? Keep it safe, the assistant said. I'll send someone. The photo and note were returned to Prince within hours. He placed them back in the vault at Paisley Park, in the glass case that had held the glove, created a small shrine to Michael. Private, personal, for his eyes only. The note he'd written, to my brother who taught me that purple and gold can paint the same sky, referenced something only they knew. In 1991, During a rare phone conversation, Michael had told Prince about struggling with the pressure, the expectations, the constant need to top himself. "I don't know how you do it," Michael said. "How you stay creative under all this pressure." "You think it's a competition," Prince replied. "You against me. Thriller against Purple Rain. But it's not. We're painting the same sky, just using different colors. Purple and gold, red and black. Doesn't matter. The sky's big enough for both." Michael had gone quiet. Then, "I never thought of it that way. Start, because the media wants us to be enemies, but we don't have to play their game." That conversation had shifted something for Michael. He'd stopped seeing Prince as competition and started seeing him as a peer, someone who understood. The glove Michael had sent in 1984 had represented that understanding, and now, in 2009, Prince was returning that gesture, honoring the man who'd shared the impossible burden of being a legend. April 21, 2016. Prince was found dead at Paisley Park, 57 years old. The world shattered again. When the estate team began cataloging his vault, they found thousands of items: unreleased music, instruments, costumes, artifacts from a life lived in service of art. And in a small glass case, separate from everything else, they found Michael Jackson's glove, the Polaroid of Prince wearing it, the note he'd written. They also found something else, something that made them realize this wasn't just a tribute, it was a conversation. The glove sits in the Prince Museum at Paisley Park today, in a special exhibit about his relationships with other artists, displayed alongside the Polaroid, the note, and an explanation of what it all meant. But for 7 years, from 2009 to 2016, it was Prince's secret, his private way of honoring a friendship the world never knew existed. "Finding that glove changed everything I thought I knew about Prince and Michael's relationship," said Dr. Sarah Williams, a music historian who helped catalog Prince's vault. "The media narrative was rivalry, competition, but this glove told a different story, one of mutual respect and genuine connection." The exhibit includes context, photos of Prince and Michael together over the years, rare images that most people have never seen, backstage at award shows, at private industry events, moments captured when they thought nobody was watching. In one photo from 1984, they're standing side by side, arms around each other's shoulders, both smiling, both young, both at the peak of their powers. The caption reads, "Two kings who understood the throne was big enough for both." That phrase, "the throne was big enough for both," became the title of a documentary about their relationship. Released in 2019, it featured interviews with people who knew them both, musicians, collaborators, industry insiders who witnessed moments the public never saw. "They had tremendous respect for each other," said Quincy Jones, who produced Michael's biggest albums. "The competition the media created was fiction. Yes, they were aware of each other. Yes, they pushed each other to be better. But it wasn't animosity. It was inspiration." Sheila E., who worked with Prince for decades, confirmed, "Prince rarely talked about other artists, but when he did mention Michael, it was always with respect. He recognized greatness, and he knew Michael was great." Marcus, the janitor at First Avenue who let Prince in that night, kept the secret for years. Didn't tell anyone, didn't sell the story to tabloids, just kept it to himself, out of respect. But after Prince died, he felt the story needed to be told. "People need to know who Prince really was," Marcus explained in a 2017 interview. "Not the persona, not the legend. The human being who grieved like everyone else, who honored his friends privately, who didn't need cameras or publicity to do the right thing." Marcus described finding the glove and note the next morning, "I knew immediately what it was, knew it was sacred. I didn't touch it, just called his assistant. Because some things are too important to be left in a janitor's hands." He also described what he'd heard from upstairs while Prince played. "I've heard Prince perform 100 times. This was different. This was pain. This was goodbye. This was one genius honoring another in the only way that made sense to him through music. The club has since added a small plaque backstage commemorating that night. It doesn't give details, just says, "In memory of the night Prince honored Michael Jackson, June 25 to 26, 2009. Some tributes are meant to be private. If you've ever needed to grieve away from the world's eyes, to honor someone without performing that honor for others, share this story." Because Prince's midnight tribute reminds us that the most meaningful gestures often happen in silence, witnessed by nobody, meant for nobody except the person you've lost. Here's what the glove reveals about Prince and Michael. They were both prisoners of their own mythology. The world needed them to be rivals, needed them to compete, needed there to be a winner and a loser. But they knew better. They knew the game was rigged. That comparing them was like comparing Shakespeare to Mozart. Pointless. Different mediums, different approaches, both genius. Michael was a perfectionist, Prince once told a close friend. Every move calculated, every note precise. I'm the opposite. I'm instinct. I'm chaos. But we were both trying to do the same thing, push music to places it hadn't been. That made us brothers, not enemies. The media missed that. Fans missed that. Everyone was so invested in the rivalry that they couldn't see the respect underneath. But Prince saw it. And when Michael died, Prince didn't make a public statement because words felt inadequate. How do you sum up the loss of your mirror, your peer, your only contemporary who truly understood? You don't. You go to a closed club at midnight. You wear. Michael gave Prince the glove in 1984. Prince kept it for 25 years without wearing it. Then wore it once in an empty club at 3 a.m. to honor Michael's memory. Then kept it for another 7 years until his own death. 32 years. That's how long that glove carried the weight of two legends' respect for each other. Today, visitors to Paisley Park stand in front of that glass case for minutes at a time, reading the note, looking at the Polaroid, trying to understand what it all means. It means they were human, explained a tour guide. It means beneath the fame and the talent and the mythology, they were two people who understood each other in ways nobody else could. And when one died, the other grieved privately, the way friends do. The museum doesn't allow photos of the exhibit. This is sacred, the rules state. Experience it, honor it, but don't commodify it. That feels right. Prince honored Michael privately. The least we can do is honor their friendship with the same respect. Remember Michael's handwriting inside the glove? To Prince, who showed me the throne was big enough for both. That message was written in 1984, 30 years before social media, before the internet made every interaction public, before celebrities felt the need to broadcast every gesture. Michael wrote those words, knowing only Prince would see them. No audience, no witnesses. Just a message from one artist to another. And Prince kept that message private for 32 years. Never showed it to anyone. Never used it to prove their friendship was real. Just kept it in a glass case in his vault. Something sacred between him and Michael. That's trust. That's respect. That's friendship in its purest form. When the estate team found it in 2016, they cried. These were people who'd worked with Prince for years. Thought they knew everything about him. But this was new. This was profound. It changed how I saw him, one team member admitted. I'd always known Prince was private. But this level of respect, this commitment to keeping something sacred, it was beautiful. And it was heartbreaking to realize he'd carried this alone for 7 years. June 25, 2009, Michael Jackson died. The world mourned publicly. Prince mourned privately. At 3 a.m., in an empty club, wearing Michael's glove, playing music for an audience of ghosts. No cameras, no press, no statement. Just one legend honoring another the only way that felt true. The glove that Michael gave Prince in 1984 carried a message. The throne was big enough for both. And for 32 years, Prince kept that message sacred, private, between them. When Prince died in 2016, The world finally learned the truth, that the rivalry was fiction, that the respect was real, that two legends who the media pitted against each other actually understood each other better than anyone else could. The glove now sits in Paisley Park, a reminder that the greatest friendships don't need publicity, that the deepest respect doesn't require validation, that sometimes the most meaningful tribute happens in silence. At 3 a.m., witnessed by nobody. Marcus, the janitor who let Prince in that night, said it best. I watched him from upstairs, watched him play for 2 hours, watched him leave that glove like an offering, and I thought this is what real love looks like. Not the performance of love, the private, sacred act of honoring someone when nobody's watching. Today, millions of people know the story. But for 7 years, it was just Prince, just Michael's memory, just a glove and a note and a midnight tribute in an empty club. That's the power of privacy. That's the dignity of grief. That's what it means to honor someone without needing the world to see you do it. Prince and Michael. Purple and gold. Two colors painting the same sky. Two legends who respected each other more than they competed. Two friends who kept their friendship sacred even when the world wanted them to be enemies. The glove proves it. The note confirms it. And the midnight performance that nobody saw except one janitor who kept the secret for years embodies it. Two kings, one throne, but the throne was always big enough for both. Michael knew it in 1984. Prince proved it in 2009. And now we all know it too. Rest in power, both of you. The sky you painted purple and gold together is still beautiful, still inspiring, still reminding us that greatness doesn't diminish greatness, it celebrates it. The glove sits behind glass, the note beside it, the Polaroid capturing a moment nobody was supposed to see. And every day, people stand in front of that case and finally understand. The rivalry was fake, the friendship was real, and the throne was always, always big enough for both. Thank you, Prince, for showing us that honoring someone doesn't require an audience. Thank you, Michael, for showing Prince that respect goes both ways. Thank you both for painting a sky that inspired millions. Purple and gold.